What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. And today we are back with our best bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. There's two pretty good cards on this weekend that I'm going to concentrate on here. There are a few more other cards around the place, but I'm going to concentrate on the UFC card, and I have a couple of bets from KSW as well, because I only did my preview show. Saw that there's at least one bet that I really liked at a price I really liked there, so I had to give that as one of my bets for the week. But we're going to start off with a UFC bet. Going to look at the two KSW bets, and then we have two UFC bets to finish it out with. Before we get to all of that, though, let's look back at last week. And last week was a great week. It's one of the best weeks we've had in a while. We were on kind of a bad run, as we all know, but it turned around last week brilliantly. So we went 3 out of 4 on the bets, which is fantastic. And even the losing bet, which we get to in a second, was kind of, it was half a loss, really, more than anything else. Plus the FLIER one. So we'll get to the first 3 bets first, then we'll get to the FLIER. Bet 1 was the main event to go over 3.5 rounds at minus 138. Obviously, it did. Sean Strickland got the win there. And I said it like, even if Strickland wins, we're going to win the bet. And then we did. So I don't think there were many people who gave out winning bets on that, but I gave you out one. So there you go. I gave you Tyson Pedro at plus 100. And if you saw me on Twitter, I actually saw the price to win via knockout. That was, I actually bet on that myself for the knockout. And I got over plus 300. It was about plus 310, plus 320 maybe. Great price to get the knockout, which he did. I think I called that one straight properly last week. I think it was, a relatively easy fight to call, which we don't get many of these days. The one that didn't hit was Ulbrich to win by TKO KO at minus 134. He won by decision, he won by submission, but he didn't win by knockout, so we got that one wrong, although he almost did a couple of times throughout it. We were looking for a bit of a better price there because he wasn't a big price to win the fight straight up, so we'll take the loss on that one, knowing it was a steady enough bet. And then we had minus 195, not the great price in the world, but Malarkey and McDessie goes to a decision. That hit as well. So if you put the 3 of them together, you would have got a nice ACA there. But the big one was the FLIER. I know I threw in a double FLIER last week. I threw in Felipe dos Santos. We're going to ignore that, right? We're going to ignore that. That didn't happen. He gave a good account of himself, and I told you he would, but he ended up losing. We're just going to keep it to our 5 bets, and we'll just ignore that the 6th bet might have been loosely thrown in there towards the end of last week. That never happened. Volkov by submission, plus 1,400 FLIER hits. What a bet. We're back. We're back hitting the FLIERs. So absolutely delighted with that one. And it kind of went the way I thought it would go. Like, I thought Volkov would win on the feed. I thought Tuivasa would make him or show him a bit of trouble, and then he would take him down. No, he didn't necessarily take him down. The fight kind of just got to the ground more than anything else, but he did end up submitting him with an Ezekiel choke, which was absolutely fantastic. So there you go. As I said, 3 out of 4. The FLIER hit. So that was last week, and then overall we have 61 of 126. Which is, getting close to that 50% mark, which I was looking for. And I'm not betting, I'm betting mostly good prices there. And last week, there was one going around the, minus 195, which is big. But I usually bet, plus money or close enough to it. And then the FLIERs, which I'm actually astonished by, 12 out of 32. Like, there's been a lot of plus 700s, plus 500 and stuff thrown in there. And a plus 1,400 as well. I'll tell you, if you're putting a $5 on them every week, you'll have a lot of money made this year. I'll tell you that. So that is pretty good, and I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to restart at the end of the year, and I'm going to, call off my. I think I will anyway. Maybe I shouldn't. Let me know in the comment section what I should. Should I just continue my my record and keep it as a record and go into the hundreds and thousands? But I don't know. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should keep a yearly record. But yeah, I'd be happy. At the end of the year to have 12, if you'd asked me to start the year 12 FLIERs, I would have bit your hand off for that. So I'll take that as we're in the middle of September here. Right, let's get to next week. And it's funny, I've done a lot of tape watching for at least 4 of these fights anyway. One of them is more a feel, and that's the FLIER. But I think this is, you know, a pretty good card coming up in the UFC. The KSW one is pretty good too, with some very good fights. But I have a few relatively strong feelings in a few close fights. So when that happens, it's either very good or very bad. So let's get into it. Bet number 1. I am going for Tracy Cortez to win, straight up. And this price has moved from yesterday when I was looking at it. I adjusted it once already in my notes. It's now moved again today. So her price is getting bigger and bigger all the time. It was, let me just make sure now I'm giving you the right info here. Yes. It was plus 131 yesterday. That was the furthest it went out. Came into 130, came into 120 when I was looking at it this morning. And now she's all the way in to minus 110. So this has turned into now an even fight. And it makes me want to pick her more. I was picking her at minus 1. What was I picking her? Minus 130. I was definitely putting her in this morning at minus 120 anyway. I really like this fight for Tracy Cortez against Jasmine Jasudavicius. I went back and I watched all of her last fight, all of Jasudavicius' last fight. And if you look at the two of them, I think it nearly sums up this fight, right? Because in both of those fights, they met opponents like they're meeting this weekend. So Cortez met someone like Jasudavicius, and that was Melissa Gatto, and Jasudavicius met someone like Cortez, and that was Miranda Maverick. Now, I think both of them are better versions of them two. So let me say that. Much better, I would say. But you could kind of see what happened, right? So what happened? Jasudavicius, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, Jasudavicius, is a very good, well-rounded fighter who tries to put on the pressure. If the takedown is there, she go for takedown. If a jab is there, she go for the jab. If a combination is there, she does the right things all the time. Do you know what I would put her down as? She's a very intelligent fighter, right? Really, really intelligent. And she uses kind of, you know, she's tall and she uses that size well. And I don't think she's like the most athletic. Now, I think in terms of strength and size, athletic, but maybe not in terms of speed and what we would maybe judge normal athleticism if you're looking at NFL athleticism or something like that. I don't think she's the most athletic, especially if you put her maybe up against Cortez. But I think she uses what she has very, very, very well. But what she showed in that fight against Maverick, and what she showed a few times previous that is, and you know, obviously Natalia Silva, she lost that, and she lost it back in the day to Elise Reed, but I think the wins around there are not at the level of Cortez's. Like Cortez was ranked anyway. I'll check here if she's still ranked, but you know, she's been out for a while now, so maybe she isn't there anymore. I believe. Oh, she is. She's ranked number 14 still. Yeah. So you know, that level is, you know, the Jasudavicius is not ranked yet. So going up to that level is going to be a little bit different, obviously. So it's not that she can't do it, but she hasn't done it yet, let's say. I think that athletic advantage for Tracy Cortez is going to be big here, because Jasudavicius's ability to kind of control a fight with her intelligence and her size and her jab and her very good technique can sometimes be beaten by someone who can just go in and take you down. I'm going to be faster than you, and I'm going to be, you know, I'll put the word stronger there, but stronger in a certain way than you. I'm going to be able to get a lower center of gravity than you and take you down, put you in a place that you can't put me, type of thing. I think that's going to be an issue, and has been in the past for Jasudavicius in ways, right? You look at Cortez and what she did to Melissa Gatto, that's exactly what she did. And, you know, looking at the Jasudavicius fight, I was thinking that, and I was like, well, you know, let's go back and watch Cortez and let's see, is this what she does? And it is what she does, you know. So it's almost they line this up, right? Jasudavicius, you win this fight, you've kind of proven that you can get past that. And for Cortez, right, this is kind of a winnable fight for you, coming back off of over a year out, you know, 16 months out. So it's a big test for Jasudavicius, but a winnable fight, as I said, for Cortez. I think she's going to get that takedown. look, Maverick got a few takedowns. She wasn't good enough to get on top in a lot of them. She wasn't good enough to stay on top in a lot of them. Jasudavicius did a good job of moving when it hit the ground and not allowing herself to get on the bottom. But I think against Cortez, it's going to be a different animal in there because she's going to start from a better position. And that's, to me, is the winning and losing of the fight. I think Cortez's movement is better on the feet as well. She's very good at fighting at long range outside and then coming in. So if you're against Jasudavicius and she has that range against you, she has the jab and she has her long shots, all you need to do is stay all the way out or get all the way in. And what's she going to do getting all the way in is going to get in with the takedowns. We'll talk more in a minute about Alexa Grasso, because I feel like a similar thing is maybe at play there. But yeah, I really like Cortez here. I think these takedowns are going to be enough. I think she's going to get on top, and I think she's going to win that fight. And, maybe the way that betting is going, I would hold off. Maybe by the time this video comes out, she could be plus money. So I would probably be, if it got to plus 100, got to plus 110, I would definitely be betting on it at that. But I like it at plus, at minus 110. So that's where we have it right now, but you will see the updated odds on screen. Right, bet number 2. Bet number 2, I'm jumping over to KSW, and I'm going for Michalski in his fight. And this to me is he's fighting Dominik Humburger. And if you've listened to the preview show, you'll already have heard me talking about this, but we'll talk about it a little bit more anyway. It is plus 175, and that's the reason I'm giving it. I think this price is really, really good. It's a fight between a guy who has 15 fights in his career and is 10-5 against a guy who's 7-0, a very good fighter, but somewhat untested, I suppose. Michalski is more like the quick twitch athlete, and Humburger is like the cardio guy with good power, who'll keep going, who'll fight at a steady pace for 3 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever you want him to do. He's the type of guy who could fight 10 rounds at the pace he fights, but it's a very kind of, it's probably not a dangerous pace to a professional MMA fighter over 1 minute or over 2 minutes, but over 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes when they're trying to fight at a higher pace, it's very dangerous. So this fight goes longer. I do think it's Humburger's fight to win. But I think Michalski early, or Michalski, sorry, I mix him up with Freddie Michalski, the player. We'll go with Michal. We'll go with Michal. He actually reminds me of another Michal Maddalena. He is, again, a very good athlete, lovely leg kicks. He has like that stretch uppercut. He does get caught a bit, and that would be the one issue. Like, I think if he gets caught, I think he gets caught enough that if the fight goes long, he will probably end up losing it. So I'm backing him to win this early enough here. And I think that's how he'll get it done, whether it's, getting into the ground or getting a big knockout or whatever. We'll see on that. But, he's 34 years of age. So this is maybe his last chance, I suppose, to climb the mountain again, finding his hometown as well, against the younger 27-year-old guy. He's the soldier and all of that, so they'll obviously they love kind of playing up to that and everything. But it's a very interesting fight. It's a striker versus striker fight, but like the power striker against maybe the technical striker. And I'm backing the power striker here. I just think he's going to be a little bit too quick. I think Humburger's a slow starter. And it's not even that's not maybe fair to say. I think he's just a slow fighter, but by design. And I think it's going to be maybe the I don't know, the lesson learned today, one way or another. I think speed kills, and I think Michalski's speed is just going to be too much for him, and I think he's going to win. I think he's going to knock him out with a big left hook or a big right hand maybe early, and at plus 175, I really like that. I really, really, really like that. The other bet then from KSW is in the main event, and it's Jakub Wiklacz at minus 150. Let me just make sure that's the updated price for you there. I believe it is, and indeed it is, yeah. So again, if you want to hear my full breakdown of this, please check out the preview that I have done over on the YouTube page, which you are probably at right now, or Spotify or anywhere there. This is the fourth fight between the two of these. Wiklacz is 2-1 up. One of the fights was outside of KSW, so they're 1-1 in KSW, and that's why the trilogy is happening. This is for the Bantamweight Championship, and it's a very, very interesting fight because the previous 3 fights have been very different fights. The last one, very much Wiklacz winning the wrestling. The previous fights, I would say Sebastian Przybysz had some success in the wrestling, while also Wiklacz having success in the wrestling. But it was on the feet where Przybysz landed, his best work. Very good shots to the body and all of that, where he got the finish in the fight that he ended up winning. If I'm not mistaken, I'm just checking it here, and that is true, yes. He got the punches to the body back in 2020, and the last fight was in 2022, where the takedowns for Wiklacz won it. But if you go back and watch all 3 of those fights, there was a lot of different things at a lot of different times, right? There was 2 fights where it was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots 1 minute, takedown by one guy another minute, takedown by the other guy another minute, one guy winning the feet in 1 minute, the other guy winning the feet the next minute, right? And I think that all kind of changed in the last fight. Now I wonder what will change in this fight, but how it changed in the last fight is I think Przybysz became too happy to have that sort of fight. And Wiklacz was like, no, I'm not having that sort of fight. I'm having a wrestling match, and I'm going to take you down, I'm going to dominate you. And he won because of that, right? So Przybysz will need to find a way of doing the same thing. And I don't think he can. I don't think he can kind of dominate it on the feet the way that his opponent can dominate it on the ground. I really don't. Wiklacz is too good of a grappler. He's too good at sweeps. He's too good at trips. He's too good on top control. And Sebastian's too willing to grapple. And I think it's because of that past success. Now, maybe he watched the last fight and go, oh, look, I can't make that mistake again. I'm going to have to keep it on the feet. But what I just said, I think is going to stop him from doing that. And that's the winning of the fight. And that's simple enough for me. I think Wiklacz is going to get the takedowns. And I think he's going to get on top. And I think he's going to win this again and in this series of fights. So, yeah, there you go. Right, next bet here. Back to the UFC and to the main event. I'm going for Valentina Shevchenko to win. As you can hear, my voice is a little bit hoarse, and what's the reason I did that? I just did another show. I did the rewatch over in Severe May, which I haven't done in a while. And what I do there is I go back and I kind of commentate over the fights, and it's up on our Patreon if you want to hear it. It'll be out on Thursday. And I watch back the whole fight and kind of not don't look at it from, no commentary on, not talking about bets, not talking no emotion in it. You're not talking about the judging, even just kind of look at the analytics and how the fight went. And after doing that, I find it very hard not to pick Valentina Shevchenko. I find it very hard not to watch back that fight and think she just got caught. Because it wasn't as if Valentina Shevchenko was dominating, by no means dominating, but she was by no means getting dominated or in trouble either until the very last 20 seconds. Grasso was landing some combinations, probably more than most other people would land on her. She was giving her a bit of trouble with her pressure and her speed, but not enough to make me pick her in a rematch. Now, things will be different. It won't be the exact same fight, granted. But what is Grasso actually going to do here? She couldn't jab her the last time, just one shot with the usually left hand, because she fought out a southpaw a lot, but she was switching stances. She wasn't really landing the one shot. Her combinations were good, were her best part, but the problem with the combinations is the more she threw them, the more she got taken down. So every time she was throwing her third combination, after maybe landing one shot out of 9, she was then getting taken down, and she'd spend 3 minutes on the ground every single time. And that's the combinations through pressure. Shevchenko was landing her jab when she wanted coming forward. She was able to land the one shot that Grasso wasn't. the biggest issue for Shevchenko is she wasn't able to win the clinch. And now she didn't necessarily lose the clinch, but usually Shevchenko gets a big throw, gets a head and arm choke, lands on top from the clinch. She didn't do that once in the fight. Every takedown she got was from Grasso coming in, and she was countering the pressure and the combinations with jumping underneath and getting the takedown every single time. So Shevchenko was met with a problem and solved it in the middle of the fight, right? She threw a wheel kick. She gave up her back. She got choked out. Is that going to happen again? I very much doubt it. I very, very much doubt it. She's minus 175. I think she'd have to be a lot bigger. You know, let me just check Grasso's price here, but I think that price would have to be a lot bigger for me to even think about. After going back and watching it, you know, with a very, you know, an eye not taken away by bias of like, we're looking at a long reigning champion here against, it's a challenger who's no hope type of thing, you know? That's like, even if we, you know, we don't have that bias as in like, you know, I want this person to win, but the bias in terms of like how we watch fights. I really think watching it without that, it's Shevchenko she wasn't much better than her, but she was better than her. You know, and I'm looking at some places here. One place has Shevchenko minus 157. I think that's crazy. She's actually gone into minus 170 now. So I'm into minus 170, not even minus 175 anymore. I think that's such a great price. And I said I'd take the Grasso price. Grasso plus 140 in that place. The biggest price I'm seeing on her here is plus 188. But I don't think you could take Grasso at that. I really, really don't think you could take Grasso at that price whatsoever. Some of the props, while we're at it, we'll just look at some of the props. Grasso by submission again, plus 350. Shevchenko by submission. Maybe if she can get a takedown again, I could see it happening, but plus 600. I do like Shevchenko to win by decision. It is plus 175, not the biggest price, but I do like her just in general to win by a submission. The overs aren't great prices here, so yeah, the fight to go to decision minus 125. I think that's going to happen, even though it was finished the last time. I don't think that's going to happen this time. Like, really, if you go back and watch that finish, go back and watch the fight, like, it's very much a shock finish. Like, it's not how the fight was going at all, you know. So and as I said, right, maybe the fight will go a total different way. Maybe Grasso will have learned so much and gotten so much confidence from that fight, she takes away and she destroys Shevchenko. Or maybe Shevchenko will go back and look at that and go, I'm just going to take her down and beat her up on the ground even more and submit her now. You know, either of those things can happen. And I think it's going to be the latter, and I think Shevchenko will win, and I think she'll win at a canter, to be honest. I think she'll win handily. And right, the last bet of the week. This is one as well, the price has kind of changed on it, but I'm going for Della Maddalena to win by decision here. He is plus 400 to win by decision. I see a couple of places have it plus 350. Look, I'll give it plus 350 because that's that's what most places have it. Not the biggest one in the world, but I like that, and I think it's, you know, 3.5 to 1. I think anyone will take that as a flyer. I think in that fight, obviously he's fighting Kevin Holland. I just think sometimes when you get into a fight like that, and it's maybe the opposite to the first fight we talked about, that the guy, and it's not even the opposite to that, because I think if you look at Della Maddalena and Holland, they're two really, really athletic guys. One taller, faster, maybe, not necessarily even faster, but faster in a way. And then Della Maddalena, who is fast twitch, kind of, you know, a little bit shorter, a little bit, you know, stouter, if you want to put it that way. And not quite, he's not quite Sean Brady now, but, you know, a small bit anyway. I just think when a fight like that happens, and maybe that advantage is taken away from either of them. So, like, let's say Della Maddalena has an athletic advantage over most people, right? Kevin Holland has an athletic advantage over most people. So when it comes to you're fighting another guy with that advantage, and neither of you have that advantage, it's going to come down to the technique, I think. And that's the type of fight I love. Two athletic guys who can go out and both do the athletic things. and then the technique will win. Now, maybe some people say maybe I'm over, and I've spoken to my guy Harry Powell about this, and I think he loves Jack Della Maddalena, but I think he thinks maybe I'm overestimating Jack Della Maddalena's athletic prowess, but I do think it's very good, to be honest. I really, really do. But with that said, I think he is the better technical fighter than Kevin Holland. I think he is a really good boxer. His combination striking is beautiful. I think he can really do it all. I really, really do. And it's one of those fights where Kevin Holland will come out there and he will land his shots. He will be confident, and he could get the finish, right? He absolutely could get the finish. But if he doesn't, I think Della Maddalena is going to figure him out. The longer the fight goes, he's going to get, maybe he'll throw in a takedown, maybe he'll switch up something that Kevin Holland hasn't seen before. He will land those combinations, and his combinations are always so good. And I think kind of the guy who's more of like a feel guy, a guy who's more of throw it out there and we'll see what lands. Maybe that's a little bit unfair, but compared to Della Maddalena, I think that's fair. I think the guy who has that technical advantage will be the winner of the fight. And that's why I'm going for Della Maddalena. And I think it will be a decision. I don't think he'll get the finish. I think he's going to decision, and that's my fire of the week. All right, we've run through most of the big fights there. Let's run through a few more of the prices. Raul Rosas and Terence Mitchell. I would be avoiding this bet. He's minus 700 in some places. Raul Rosas still, I don't know, he's a good fighter and he's going to get better, but like the last time out, obviously he showed issues. I couldn't back him at that price. Terence Mitchell at plus 500, I don't see good enough to back at that price either, but we'll see on that. Gagos and Zellhuber. Zellhuber the favourite. The underdog plus 210. The favourite is Zellhuber minus 275. Padilla and Nelson. Nelson the big underdog there at plus 205, minus 265 for Padilla. Elsewhere, the straight up Jasudavicius and Cortez prices, as we said, minus 110 each. Josh Fremd is the underdog. Plus 215, minus 275 for Kopylov. I do like Kopylov there in that one. Lupi Godinez, I do like her, but she's minus 450, plus 333 for Elise Reed there. And look, there's a lot of big prices there. The Knutson is a big favourite as well. Charnot is coming in from Marnik Man. Lots of big there. On KSW, I said it on the preview show, but the biggest favourite here on KSW is plus 210. And that is the Milan Zrandic fight against Mariusz Joniak. That's massive. I talked through a lot of the betting on that, but just a couple here that I want to talk about. Henry Felipe is fighting Artur Spesniak. He's plus 120. Oh, I'm gonna be a bit of Irish bias here, but Henry has been winning fights. He's not supposed to win over the last while, and if you're giving me plus 120 in a relatively even fight, that's going to be a barn burner of a fight. Do you know what? If Arthur was the underdog here, I'd probably back Arthur. But the fact Henry is the underdog plus 120, I think I'd go for him in that one. And the Lomali SQ fight against David Samilski. Lomali is the favourite, minus 167. And I do think I like him at that. David plus 125. Viktor Peshta as well. People know him from the UFC and PFL. He's minus 150, plus 120 for his opponent, Filip Stawowski, and probably go for the underdog in that one again. So that's it. I will leave it there. Just a quick recap of the bets again. Tracy Cortez minus 110. Michalski over at KSW, whose name I pronounce perfectly, plus 175. Jakub Wiklacz minus 150. Valentina Shevchenko at minus 170, and a plus 350. The flyer of the week is Jack Della Maddalena to win by decision. All right, everyone, please bet responsibly. Let me know your best bet for this week in the comment section down below. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.